Ta-da!
It's gone. How'd you do it?
Your PC got harshed, right? Because your system heap sent the wrong parameter. So I toasted the data directory, tweaked the PRAM, and reglazed your subroutine.
How'd someone like you get into computers?
Grew up at Caesar's Palace, right? In Vegas, you know, gambling, cones, the whole package, right? Didn't have any friends, so I just pounded away on the old keyboard for a couple years, solo mission.
So you're just an old hacker like me, but disguised as an idiot.
Yeah, basically.
Hey, we're back for another week of the Laces Out weekly recap show. Probably have to rename that long term. I don't think it has a real name, but I hope for those of you who listen that you enjoy it. This has been an effort to do it. I'm going to try to maybe do it next year, but it's been fun. Maybe just try to make it audio only next year. Rethink some things, but we made it to week 12. How's everyone feeling? That was a big one, huh? We had major upsets, major playoff implications within those upsets. We have some all-time highs and some all-time lows in week 12. And overall, it did not disappoint. So with that, let's jump into it. All right, week in review. In week 12, we went up almost 5% as a league for an average team score, which went up to 110.75 points. We had two more teams over last week beat their projected score, which is always good. And we had 10 teams up from 3 score over 100 points. So I think that's the fourth time this season. So out of 11, this is only the fourth time we've had 10 teams score over 100 points as a collective unit. We had two more teams score an underdog win, which is huge. So that went up from one underdog win in week 11 up to 3 in week 12. And the scoring difference between teams. So last week we went from 30.33 points as the average difference between the winner and the loser within our league. We dropped down this past week in week 12 to 22.34 points as an average. So again, the average difference between matchup for the average team was 22.34 points. That's the third lowest in 2025. So overall, we scored more points, matchups were closer, and there was a lot on the line. All right. With that said, let's get into the Week 12 matchup recaps. Up first, we have Al's Dumpster Divers taking on Dog Pound. Major playoff implications in this matchup, given Al's a top 3 team, and Dog Pound is right in that middle category of that chunk of teams vying for that Final Four playoff positions. Final score was Al's Dumpster Divers scoring a strong 141.83 points to a very respectable Dog Pound 123.51 points. The all-time record now stands Al's Dumpster Divers leads the series 2-1. Going into that, this series was tied historically. Top performers for Al's team. Jahmyr Gibbs, this might be, I don't know how I track this because I don't track the stats down to a player level, but this might be an all-time high. Jahmyr Gibbs, 62.65 points. Shout out to you. God damn, that's crazy. There was talk of when Jahmyr Gibbs came into the league, already comparing him to Barry Sanders, which is nuts because he was just a rookie. And now, 2-3 years in? I can't remember. I had him his rookie year, and I think I traded him away. But anyways, strong performance there. Patrick Mahomes looking like, again, a solid pick for where he was drafted, and Breece Hall were top performers for Al's team. Flops for Dog Pound, DeAndre Swift, Alvin Kamara, and Mark Andrews. This was a big one for Al because Al clinches a playoff spot with this and moves to 9-3. Dog Pound falls to 6-6, which is right in the middle of that that bubble where, again, the points scored throughout the season is going to be the ultimate tiebreaker there. So again, thinking about how many points did we score over the season, even though you lost, did you score more points? It matters when we get to this point. But overall, instant classic, awesome matchup. Let's move on to the next one. All right, Dominic the Donkey versus Paige's Primo team. This was the matchup of the week. This was crazy in terms of the odds against Paige winning and the playoff implications for Dominic the Donkey coming off a monster week last week, beating the crap out of my team. So going in, Dominic the Donkey was 6-5, sitting in 5th place to Paige's Primo team, 3-8 in 12th place. The final score of this one, Paige's Primo team with the major upset, scoring a monster 137.50 points to Dominic the Donkey's 122.77 points. All-time record, Dominic the Donkey leads the series 2-1, but this was the first career win for Paige over the Donkey. Full spoiler mode on here for Paige's Primo team, not only outscoring projection, but putting a little bit of a bump in the ride for Dominic the Donkey, sending him to 500 at 6-6, looking to try to clinch a playoff spot. Top performers for Paige's Primo team off the waiver wire. Just want to point that out, fresh off the waiver wire. Emmanuel Wilson, 27.75 points. Hunter Henry, tight end, 24.25 points. I traded Hunter Henry away to Paige's Primo team a couple weeks ago, so always happy when both players benefit both teams. DJ Moore, 21.65 points, and the Green Bay defense, 20.50 points. Flops for Dominic the Donkey. We had Stephon Diggs, Chase McLaughlin, and Brock Purdy, unfortunately, hitting a little bit of a bump in the road. Playoff implications here, Dominic the Donkey falls to 6-6, going from 5th to 6th place, sliding back into that middle tier of teams here in the last 2 weeks, trying to secure a playoff spot. And Paige's team improves to 4-8 overall, sitting still in 12th spot, pretty much mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. But again, there's no reason to hang it up now. You can play spoiler. Great matchup. All right, Matt's Gritty Goombas taking on Molly Dangerfield. Matt going into the week 4-7 in 11th place. Molly was sitting at 6-5 in 5th place. Final score, Molly Dangerfield putting up a strong 128.66 points to Matt's Gritty Goombas 105.82 all time. This I think might be one of the most played matchups in league history. Matt's Gritty Goombas leads the series 4-2. So I looked this up. They did play each other 6 times already, even though we've only been playing for 3 seasons, but there's some playoff matchups in there as well. Top performers for Molly Dangerfield, 35.36 points for Jalen Hurts. Chase Brown put up 16 points. And flops for Matt's Gritty Goombas, the Minnesota defense, Tony Pollard, and Mason Taylor. There was big playoff implications with this matchup because Molly's looking to pretty much control her own destiny and try to lock up a playoff spot this week in week 13. That would have been a lot more difficult if she hadn't won this week. So controls her own destiny going into week 13. Matt is effectively eliminated at this point, but there's a slim scenario based on points for if things fell apart for some other teams where Matt's Gritty Goombas might be able to slip in, but pretty much mathematically impossible at this point. But again, spoiler mode is still fully in check there. Up next, we have the Pack taking on Nakua Matata. The Pack going into the week 7-4 in 4th place. Nakua Matata was sitting at 5-6 in 10th place, with Tua in the pink right outside the playoff bubble. There's a lot of playoff implications in this matchup as well. This was a grinder. This was very close the entire time. It was the closest matchup of the week. Final score, the Pack edges out Nakua Matata 110.92 points to 104.33 points. All time, the Pack leads the series 3-0. Grinded this one out, got lucky, in my opinion. This was basically came down to the Rams matchup on Monday night. So it was very exciting. Of course, it's a little more exciting if you win, but either way, Puka Nakua is still just a beast. Matthew Stafford, Quinshon Judkins, and Khalil Shakir were the top performers for the Pack, while Ramondre Stevenson, Kyle Pitts, and Xavier Worthy were the underperformers for Nakua Matata's team. Playoff implications here: the Pack clinches a playoff spot, moves to 9-3, sits in the 4th spot, looking to push for a top 3 spot here, depending on what happens. Nakua Matata falls to 5-7, and pretty much a must-win scenario. And some other things would have to happen in the next 2 weeks, especially given week 13, to have a shot at one of those final playoff spots. Radical Rob taking on Trevor's Locks. This was another instant classic in terms of anticipation, at least. The end result wasn't so close, but going into it, it had everything of a top billing, right? Basically could be a championship preview, depending on the way how things shake out. The first place team, Radical Rob, going into the week at 9-2, taking on Trevor's Locks. Second place, 8-3. Final score, Trevor's Locks, 145.94 points. Beastly performance to 103.56 for Radical Rob. All-time record. The series is tied 2-2. So 2 really good teams historically, just staying even. Top performers, James Cook, JSN, and Javonte Williams for Trevor's Locks, while T. Higgins, Cameron Dicker, T. Higgins, RIP, that was a tough landing on his head, probably out this week, and the Pittsburgh defense were the underperformers for Radical Rob. Big implications for this matchup, given 2 teams are probably destined for the playoffs anyways. However, it shakes up the top 3. So Trevor's Locks moves into first place with his 7th win in a row. I'm going to get into that in a second. At 9-3, pretty much controls their own destiny for the number 1 seed. Radical Rob was the first team to clinch last week. Still will be in the playoffs either way, but can also try to push for that top seed here coming into week 13. All right, Sleuthy Sloth's taking on This Ain't Last Year number 1, Brendan versus Lewis. A lot on the line here for Lewis's team. And again, spoiler mode, the spoiler hat on for Brendan. Sleuthy Sloth's 3-8, disappointing season, tons of top points scored against. So again, sometimes it's, when you look at this, it is definitely luck, because teams just scored a ton of points against Brendan this year. Sitting in 13th place, taking on Lewis, though, with a lot more to lose at 5-6. Tough second half of the season here, sitting at 6th place. Final score, though, big upset, 93.16. Sleuthy Sloth takes the victory to 85.66 points for Lewis's team. Brendan has Lewis's number historically, sitting now all-time at 3-1 against Lewis. Puts Lewis into a tougher spot for blocking up a playoff seed. So again, the spoiler hat fully on Brendan's head in week 12, which is exciting to see. Top performers, Dak Prescott just continues to ball out, pulling out that late victory against the Eagles. Devontae Adams and Saquon Barkley struggling to get going in that Eagles offense right now, but hopefully can come through here late in the season. Flops for Lewis's team, Ricky Pearsall hasn't clicked. Rough day in the office with Brock Purdy, Daniel Carlson, the kicker, and Aaron Jones. Sleuthy Sloth at this point moves to 4-8, essentially eliminated from the playoffs, but again, can ruin a lot of weeks for some teams here looking for those final 4 spots. And Lewis's team pretty much needs a win this week to guarantee or highly increase the chances of having a playoff spot, given that you're sitting now at 6-6. So week 13 is going to hold a lot for the destiny of these 2 teams. And last but not least, we have Steve's Retirees taking on Tua in the Pink. Steve's Retirees sitting in last place at 2-9 coming into the week. Johnny sitting in 9th place on the playoff bubble, right outside of it at 5-6. Also controlled the destinies of a lot of other teams in clinching scenarios. Final score, Steve's Retirees 95.42 to Tua in the Pink, 51.39 points. Bye week hell for Tua in the Pink. Collide that with your number 1 running back having to sit out injured for Josh Jacobs led to a pretty disastrous day for Tua in the Pink. Top performers for Steve's Retirees, Derrick Henry. That trade for Jamar Chase a couple weeks ago, looking good for Steve's retirees. Harrison Butker and Chris Olave, flops, 2 in the pink. Didn't capitalize on trying to go after Emmanuel Wilson on the waiver wire, which I was surprised about. Paige's Primo team picked him up. She was the only one that was interested in Emmanuel Wilson for that week. They call that a smash spot. He was set up for a lot of volume, spit out a bunch of points. Josh Jacobs, unfortunately, was still in Tua's lineup, so posted a goose egg. Isaiah Davis had some big weeks before, but only put up 0.7 points, and Dalton Schultz had a tough day in the office for the Texans. Playoff implications here. Steve's retirees is mathematically eliminated, but strong team that can play, again, that spoiler role. 2 in the pink, still not dead, but definitely in a must-win scenario in week 13. Still sits in that 9th spot, but it's going to be based on record and then the amount of points scored for your team. So we will see what week 13 brings here. All right, let's keep it rolling. We have the weekly awards. Beauty of the week, Trevor's Locks, 145.94 points. Very nice score. That's the second Beauty of the Week award in 2025 for Trevor's Locks. Beast of the Week, we have Tua in the pink, 51.39 points, which unfortunately is an all-time low for our league through 3 seasons. So not by much, but just I think by about 0.10 points. Tough break for Tua in the pink.
Yes! That's awesome! What? You just took one in the jugular, man! Whoa. Yes! Oh my God. Oh my God, I did. Is this bad? Is this bad?
You should pull that out. That shit is not cool. Wait. Pull what out? The dart, man. Got a fucking dart in your neck.
Steve's retirees with the large in the margin award on the other side of that win over Tua in the pink, 44.03 point margin of victory. That is the first large in the margin award in 2025 for Steve's retirees. Cuff and Link award goes to Paige's Primo team, which is the second Cuff and Link award. Major upset for Paige's Primo team. Projected almost 17-point loss, ended up winning by 14.73, put up monster points. Shout out to Paige. And the Anxiety Award goes to the Pack, 6.59 point margin of victory over Nakua Matata. That is the second Anxiety of the week, Anxiety Award in 2025 for the Pack. All right, week 11 standings. First place, Trevor's Locks. Second place, Al's Dumpster Divers. Third place, Radical Rob. Fourth place, The Pack. All 4 teams in the top 4 have clinched playoff spots. Fifth place, Molly Dangerfield. Sixth, Dominic the Donkey. Seventh place, This Ain't Last Year, number 1. And eighth place, Dog Pound. All right, we the biggest risers on the week from 11 to week 11 to week 12. Molly Dangerfield went up 2 spots from 7th to 5th. Al's Dumpster Divers goes from 3rd to 2nd, and Trevor's Locks jumps from 2nd to 1st place. Biggest fallers from week 11 to week 12. Radical Rob drops 2 spots from 1st to 3rd. Dominic the Donkey drops from 5th to 6th, and Lewis drops from 6th to 7th. All right, let's go through some playoff scenarios here. We have 4 teams who have clinched. Like I said, the top 4 teams have clinched, so congratulations to all of those teams. It's a lot of hard work to get to that point. It's a huge sigh of relief. Now it's a little bit of anxiety to watch your players, hope they perform like you expect, and hope they don't get hurt, right? Knock on wood, that's the biggest thing. For week 13, let's look at teams that can clinch. We have Molly Dangerfield sitting in 5th place at 7-5. Controls her own destiny. A win will clinch a spot for Molly Dangerfield, or a combination of a loss and any one of the following: a Dog Pound loss, a Lewis loss, a Dominic the Donkey loss, a Tua loss, or a Nakua loss. So again, just goes to show, even though you may not be in the hunt anymore, or you don't feel like your team's there, you still have, it's the butterfly effect, right? You can still impact a lot of things. If that's your mission, right? It's always fun to stay in the hunt and have some relevance within the league, even if you don't feel like you're going to make it deep into the season. Another team that can clinch is Dominic the Donkey, sitting at 6-6. Clinches with a win and a Dog Pound loss, or a Lewis loss, or a Tua loss, or a Nakua loss. So you can see a trend there, right? Those teams that are sitting right outside the bubble or right on the edge of the bubble in 8th place have a lot to do with what's going to happen here in the last 2 weeks, especially in week 13. Lewis is another 6-6 team that can clinch this week with a win and a Dog Pound loss, a Donkey loss, a Nakua loss, or a Tua loss. If Lewis wins and the 2 bubble teams lose, he clinches. Dog Pound, 8th place, sitting at 6-6, can also clinch with a win and a Donkey loss, a Lewis loss, a Tua loss, or a Nakua loss. Dog Pound needs help, even with a win, because of the lower points scored for that team. Essentially, we have some unfortunate elimination scenarios as well. 2 in the pink at 5-7, basically eliminated with a loss, or even with a win, and all other bubble teams winning, the points for would be based on tiebreaker. So it would be tough weigh-in for Tua in the pink if he doesn't win here. And also Nakua Matata sitting at 5-7 in 10th place with a loss is pretty much eliminated, or a win and all other bubble teams win. So even if Nakua Matata wins, same scenarios, 2 in the pink, and all those other teams win, it can be tough based on the tiebreaker there. Already eliminated are Matt's Gritty Goombas, Paige's Primo teams, Luthi Sloths, and Steve's Retirees. All right. No new trades, and there won't be for the rest of the season in the last week. The trade deadline was last Saturday at midnight. No trades came through. The last one was the big trade between Steve's Retirees and the Pack, with the Pack receiving Jamar Chase and Steve's Retirees receiving Cortland Sutton and Derrick Henry. It was a fun season. There was more trades this season than I think there have been in past years. I'm always trying to get out there and see what happens. It's one of those rotating, constant grind type of games. Unless you get really lucky and pick an excellent team up front, you kind of got to grind, use the waiver wires, but also look at trades to say, hey, how can we make things better? Trevor's Locks is a perfect example. Huge trade. Traded 3 of their top picks with 2 in the pink earlier in the season, back in September. But look how that's aged, because JSN was part of that trade. And boy, oh boy, I would love to have JSN right now. So shout out to everybody. Good job doing trades. Let's see if we can get more next season. All right, Week 13 matchup previews. It's Thanksgiving week. It's going to be a good one. Let's have some fun here. Up first, we have Al's Dumpster Divers taking on the Pack. Second place team, Al's Dumpster Divers, 9-3, taking on the Pack. Fourth place, 8-4. All-time record tied at 1-1. 2 teams that have already locked up the playoffs and clinched. So not much to be said in terms of impact, except for seeding throughout the playoffs and making sure that both teams stay healthy, which is always the biggest risk, right, in this game. So good job by both teams to put together strong seasons, make it to the playoffs. Now we got to see who's going to survive to make it to Week 17. All right, Dog Pound versus Luthi Sloths. This is a big one for the playoffs. So Dog Pound sitting at 6-6, 8th place, controls the gatekeeper to the playoffs right now, versus a very scrappy Sleuthy Sloths, 3-9 in 13th place. But all time, Dog Pound leads the series historically 2-1 over the years. Again, we just went through the playoff scenario, so Dog Pound needs a win to solidify a spot and definitely stay in the hunt for the playoffs. A loss here likely pushes them to 9th or 10th place, needing major help. And again, Brendan's eliminated here, but I don't imagine he's going to lay down. So definitely keep an eye on this one. Another matchup here with playoff implications. Dominic the Donkey taking on Matt's Gritty Goombas. Uncle versus nephew. Is Matt going to let his uncle have it and get to the playoffs? I don't know. This series is tied 1-1 all time. Dominic the Donkey sitting at 6-6 in 6th place. Ooh, 666. What? Watch out. Matt's Gritty Goombas 4-8 in 11th place. Dominic the Donkey controls their own destiny with a win, given their high point totals to a degree. There's still some things that need to happen in for other teams to win and lose to really clinch a spot, but a win here strengthens their odds by a lot. Matt's Gritty Goombas is effectively eliminated. Very mathematical high chance that they could sneak in if the right combination of things happened here in the last bit. But again, spoiler mode is the one to watch for here. All right, Molly Dangerfield taking on Radical Rob. 2 top 5 teams, one with playoffs already clinched in Radical Rob, sitting in 3rd place. Molly Dangerfield sitting in 5th place at 7-5, can clinch with a win, controls her own destiny for sure here, and leads the all-time series against Radical Rob 2-0. Playoff implications, winning in for Molly Dangerfield. A loss, very still likely to make it, but wouldn't be a guarantee and would have some anxiety going into the last week of the regular season in week 14. For Radical Rob, playing for that top spot, baby, right? That's what we're all here for. You made it to the top 3, sitting in the top spot for most of the team. Good luck to both teams. Nakua Matata taking on Paige's Primo team. Very scrappy Nakua Matata team, cobbled together like a Frankenstein monster with players off of waivers, waiting for players to come back, with Puka Nakua leading the way the entire season, sitting at 10th place at 5-7, with a definite strong chance they could still make it with a win here. If they win out, basically would have to put together 2 wins going out. Paige's Primo team, though, is eliminated from the playoffs at this point, but clearly is not laying down. Took out the Donkey last week, unexpected. Fighting for their lives here. That's what everyone's doing, right? It's scrappy. It's that time. Who's going to make it into that final spot? Who's going to slide in under the door before it closes? But either way, Nakua Matata will have to put together a win here to stay alive. All right. Steve's Retirees taking on Trevor's Locks. Steve's Retirees pulling a big win last week over 2 in the Pink to help a couple teams clinch some playoff spots. Trevor's Locks fully secured the first place, just on a heater. I just want to put this out there. Trevor's Locks is on a 7-game win streak. That's the second longest win streak of all time in our league. 2 in the Pink holds the top spot with 8-game win streak last year. It is the house of Tua and Trevor in terms of win streaks. I don't know what it is about these 2 teams, but they go on some heaters here. They own, out of the top 10 win streaks in league history, Tua in the Pink and Trevor's Locks account for 6 out of those 10. With a chance here for Trevor's Locks to overtake his dad's win streak at 8 if he can lock one up here over Steve's Retirees in week 13. Trevor does lead the series all-time 2-0, is the number 1 seed in the league, has the strongest team, is showing it, has the momentum going into the playoffs. Will it be enough? Will it to take home that trophy? And last but not least, we have Lewis. This ain't last year number 1 taking on Johnny. Tua in the Pink. This is the gatekeeping matchup, right? This is the one, again, for a second week in a row that controls a lot of destinies. 7th place, 6-6 for Lewis's team. 5-7, 9th place for Tua, right on the outside looking in. Wants to pick himself up off the mat after that loss last week. But this is big for Lewis's team because there's a big resurgence this year. There's a lot of effort, I'm sure, that went into that, trying to get to the playoffs. It's been a tough slide, though. A win pretty much clinches a spot for Lewis in this scenario. And to stay alive, two in the pick needs to pull out a win because I think mathematically eliminated with a loss. So a lot on the line here going into week 13. Good luck. Here we are. There's 2 weeks left with the full crew because some of us are going to be dropping out of relevance here in a couple weeks for this fantasy football season, that is. But we have 3 Thanksgiving games to enjoy on Thursday. Tomorrow, we have 1 Friday game, a Black Friday game. We have no teams on bye, I don't think this week, but there will be some next week. We have 6 teams fighting for the last 4 playoff spots. There's teams looking to spoil. There's teams looking to control their own destinies and lock up that very sought-after playoff spot because once you get in, anything's possible. It doesn't get any better than this. Enjoy the time with your family. I love this family. It's a fun crew. It's been an awesome season, but have fun. That's the number one thing. I hope this makes your Thanksgivings a little more enjoyable. You have to sit there and watch all the old people eat slop off their plates. No, I'm just kidding. This will help with that, right? This will help. You can peek around the corner, put the game on. It gives you an excuse to put the game on at Thanksgiving. Say, nah, fuck you. I got shit on the line here. Put the fucking game on the TV. Be safe. Eat well. I love you.
Kevin Barlow. Well, John, for years at CBS and Fox, it became a tradition, the turkey leg and all of that. And you brought to the knowledge of America the turducken. And so our friends at the Four Seasons cooked you a turducken. There it is.
What that is?
I think it's a turducken.
It is a turducken, but I got to show you how to. I can't show you. I need fresh turducken. I'm going to have crazy turducken. But anyway, here's how you slice it. See, a lot of people don't know. You have to slice it down the middle. See, and then you slice it across this way. Because what it is, it's a deboned chicken stuffed in a deboned duck, stuffed in a deboned turkey with dressing between the chicken and the duck and the duck and the turkey. So as you cut down that way, you go turkey, dressing, duck, dressing, chicken.
One of the great things about your coming over here is I'm able to ask you all of these questions because for a lot of years I thought a turducken was some sort of a foul crossbreed. But it's not.
Well,
it's just 3 different things.
Yeah. It's really 5 different things. It's a chicken, a duck, a turkey, and 2 kinds of dressings.
And are you going to have one on your Thanksgiving table?
Yeah, I'm going to have one. I have to bring it though, but because here's a picture of one.
Turducken.
Yeah,
picture. That is it.
And you see, you cut it like right down here. See, and then this is what it looks like inside. See, so you got turkey, then duck, and then dressing, and then chicken.
Oh.
And then you just have to do it that way.